From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is The Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, New York Times best-selling author, AJ Baime. With Gina Grad on news, Bald Bryan on sound effects, and we'll play the Rotten Tomatoes game. And now, he has not watched Hamilton on Disney Plus as many times as Gina has. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice, but they're going to mandate you get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. Love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
4 times in 36 hours.
And Bald Bryan.
Hey now.
Wow, that is a lot. I guess
3 times in 24 hours.
you can watch musicals a lot more than you could watch The Usual Suspects or some drama, suspense, whatever, because just like you could listen to a Beatles album over and over again,
Yes.
the repetition is the song, and the song is better as you anticipate it, whereas if you're watching, I don't know, the movie Seven, you can watch it again, but you got to wait 5 years or whatever. You can't just go back to back to back.
Sloth, gluttony.
So there's kind of,
Have you seen Hamilton yet?
No.
Okay, well, I'll add one layer to this, and Gina, you might agree or disagree. I would need to watch. I've seen it. It's amazing. It's spectacular. It's a hit for a reason. I need to watch it a few times just to understand all the nuances of the dialogue.
Yes.
It's all sung and rapped.
Yeah.
So and it's a lot of it's very fast. They're at a high pace. So like you listen to at least listen to it, if not see it a few times to really understand the nuance of the dialogue.
Well, you're absolutely right. The first time I watched it, I just watched it and took it in. The second time I played along with the home game and Wikipedia stuff as I went. So now I know everything about John Lorenz and Marquis de Lafayette and everybody.
Yeah, I got a bit of an introduction to it with my daughter probably 4.5 years ago when it dropped.
She knows every word.
And they were all singing it. So, well, I'll definitely go back and take a look at that for sure. Because, look, good is good. And
it's amazing.
No doubt it's good. Yes.
And I thought about you because at the, for the curtain call and, you're just seeing this spectacular for everything from, the revolve that moves in 2 directions at the same time to just the incredible structure of how this play is put together, the unbelievable voices. I thought of you saying this is the best of what humanity has to offer. It really is.
It's a true spectacle.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, think about, you think about things like jazz, great musicals, great innovation, space programs, and things like that, and usually can go, that's the mark of a good society. Well, the best society is a society that has great jazz and a great space program. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want it to be all space program or all jazz. You're either Germany or Jamaica at that point. you want a little something in between. You know what I mean? So I think this country, we never tire of beating it up, obviously. But why does this country have a great space program and great jazz and make killer, equipment and have state-of-the-art medicine? And it's like, because we have a lot of different people from a lot of different places doing a lot of different things,
Diversity.
The guys that are playing the jazz saxophone are not, at the baked potato that night playing gigs, and the next morning they're down in the lab of UCLA studying genes. No, it's a different group of people. And I don't think the folks that are down in the lab at UCLA are playing the jazz saxophone that night. It's kind of a two-way street. Once in a while, one of those ladies will be good on the violin or the viola, but reading sheet music carefully, not scattered.
Not improvising.
Right. So why do we then have this country that has, where we essentially have, I don't know, Alan Dershowitz and Michael Jordan in the same place? And then what other countries have that kind of range, And if the answer is that's kind of unique to us, then that is unique to us, and that's because of this diversity.
Yeah, and how about an attaboy?
Yeah, how about an attaboy? And how about the fact that I can sit in my little suburb on any given night and say to my family, hey, what do you want to do? You want to do Indian food tonight? You want to do barbecue? You want to do sushi? You want to do steaks? Like, what do you want to do? And within a 6-mile radius, I'll get a very good version of barbecue, sushi, Indian, Thai food, Mexican. How about that? How about just there's some good version of this? And the when you pull into the Mexican joint near my house, it's really good. It's got a lot of Latin people behind the counter and in the kitchen. And when you go to the Thai place in my neighborhood, there's a lot of Thai people working there as well. Families on both ends. Good thing, right? Is that an issue? We find that problematic.
I think so.
What's the fuss? Tell me what's happening. That was for you, Gina.
That was great. Thank you. That Jesus Christ Superstar reference.
Yes, it was. So I don't know. I see white guys going into the Thai place. I see white guys going into the Mexican place. I'm a white guy. Sometimes I'm in the mood for Thai. Sometimes I'm in the mood for Mexican. I don't know that we need to think about it as much as we're thinking about it. By and large, seems to work pretty well. The restaurants run. They pay their taxes. Things are clean. Food's healthy. It's a decent price. I don't know. Yes. Are there some bad Mexican restaurants? Some bad Thai restaurants? Yes, there are. Yes, there are.
Some bad actors.
I love this notion where it's like nobody claimed there's no such thing as versions of whatever we're talking about. Negative. Yes, Bryan.
I was going to say, not to get too woo-woo about it, but like what you're talking about to tie them together, if I might, the restaurants on the one hand and the jazz or whatever, musical expression you want. These are two versions of the same thing. These are people expressing themselves or their culture or what's important to them, what they grew up with or what influenced them to become who they are, whether they're cooking, their best, authentic dish or they're making music that moves them. This is what makes America great.
And, also, I don't know how many other nations pull this off. How many have this? How many do this? I'm not saying
fewer than most.
Yeah, I'm not saying others don't. I don't know who does it better. Who has more diversity? Who are we comparing ourselves to? Either now or in the past. Now, I think the problem is we keep comparing ourselves to a nation that lives in the future, which is not really a good way to compare yourself. I mean, we do it constantly. We go back in time and go, that guy he may have ended slavery, but he owned slaves, or he may have ended slavery, but he talked a lot of shit about black people. So we need to tear his shit down. But it's like, okay, now we're building time machines. And that's going to be a very difficult way to process life. You know what I mean?
And judging people back then by today's standards is impossible.
Why don't you yell at Tessa, why don't you have a job? How come you're not contributing to this family? And then she'll go, I'm 5. And then you can go, no, I've got a time machine. I've jumped ahead. Yeah, you're 37 and you're a piece of shit laying around this house eating my cereal and crapping in my toilet.
Yeah. So, that stops today.
Yeah. I don't know how this time machine thing works with kids. I don't know how it works. Why aren't you doing? Well, ask her why she's not doing advanced trigonometry while we're at it. Like, write all this stuff down.
Tessa, do some trig.
Yeah.
And speaking of being woo-woo, you think of people that support that theory, and kind of like in that hippy-dippy place. Aren't you supposed to live by be here now? Be here now. You don't live in the past. You don't live in the future. You don't live in time. You live now.
Yeah, like that. It's funny because my mom and her sort of hippie ilk would always talk about being present.
Yeah.
Right? But be present while you watch Roots, the miniseries, and go, God, can you believe what we did? Can you believe what we did?
I feel like from your description, no one has more existential crises than your mom. Like she is the last person to live in the now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, it's also one of these things where the answer is in your question. Like when you go back 150 years and you go, can you believe what we used to do? And it's like, yeah, we used to do that. And now we don't because we decided it was bad. So we fought some wars and we tried to fix
do
it.
some trigonometry.
Yeah. So
Stop playing.
Anyway, and also, if you would like to make yourself unhappy in society or in any relationship, so
I'm listening.
in a relationship, well, you can go micro or macro. So the micro is your personal relationship with your spouse or spouse-to-be or girlfriend or whomever, even a neighbor. That is your micro. Your macro is your relationship with the nation, this country, and the world. You want to make yourself miserable? Build a time machine. Just be thinking all the time of what you did in the past, what you could have done in the past, what you should be doing in the future, and just live in the here's where we were, it was horrible, here's where we need to be, it's not happening fast enough, and then you'll just live in purgatory with your time machine in the middle in misery. Everybody, we've all probably been in them. It's a relationship where people can't let things go that happened, like that time you did this or you said that or you acted this way. You want to be miserable in a relationship, focus on what the person did. So now I'm going to go completely down the road on this metaphor. Every one of us is married to or in a relationship with a good person that has made mistakes and possibly flawed in one degree or another, just sort of like all people are. So we can go back and focus on the couple of mistakes that were made along the way, or the couple of flaws that they may possess, and make ourselves miserable in current time in our relationship. Or we can understand that just comes with the territory. It's basically what happens when you're in a relationship. It's almost like what happens when you build a nation. You're building a nation, and there's episodes of, Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, president panicked, locked up a bunch of innocent Japanese citizens. That's right. That's what happens. It's going to be littered with those moments along the way in the building process. The same way that when you're building a relationship, there's going to be some blowouts and some infidelities or some issues or some whatever that go along. Now, what's a bad relationship? One that has a ton of those and never doesn't correct those. It's not do they have those, it's how do you handle them when they come up. Sorry, Bryan, you were going to say something.
Our guest today, by the way, apropos, he is a expert in the FDR Harry Truman era. He wrote a few books on it, in addition to Go Like Hell. So let's bring this up when he comes on. I'm sure he'll have a ton of insight.
Yeah. So we are now living in a time in our nation where there's a lot of people who are living in a time machine, toggling back to the evils of our past, fast forwarding to no child should be left behind and everyone should have world-class health care, and I'll not sleep until that happens. And you're going to live in a world that was filled with misery and pain in the past, and then you're going to live in a world that doesn't really exist, and it's always disappointing because we don't achieve enough or get there fast enough or settle those goals. If you're going to announce, we need to be carbon neutral by 2024, you're going to be disappointed because we're not going to be carbon neutral by then, or whatever it is your plan was. So you're either disappointed, you're devastated by the past, or you're disappointed by the future. And that's going to make for a lot of unhappy campers. And then at some point, you'll get to the end of your life and you'll realize you lived your life in some other time period than when you were actually living your life. Yep. And then you'll realize it was all for naught and you'll be miserable, but it'll be funny to me. Although
silver lining,
I'll probably be dead because I'm at least 25 years older than most you miserable fucks. So, at least you have that. You have that. All right. Gina has a video that I've not seen. I don't even know. I don't know what the subject is.
You're in for a treat. So I follow this account on Instagram, and I'm going to pull it up right now so I get it precise. It is called Street People of Los Angeles. And it used to be a little, not, I wouldn't say wacky, but just kind of like pointing out the craziness of, like downtown and everything Garrigus sees out his window. It's become a little more sincere and like, tagging, Bonin and tagging the governor and like, what are you doing about this? Well, right before the show, I was scrolling and I found an example, and I'm going to read you the caption first. It says, CNN attempting to scare and shame us into submission as a homeless person drops pants and takes shit on the beach on live TV. And of course, not wearing a mask. So this apparently aired on CNN.
So she's standing at the beach submitting a story.
Yeah, like in front of the pier.
Right.
The end of July, they could have completely
Person's in the
filled
back.
ICU beds. No more
Looks like
beds
a woman.
available for people
Could be.
in the ICU.
Slightly built,
If
drops
rate
the
keeps
shorts.
Continuing like this. And so here in California, you can expect that there may be some
Squatting,
new,
just blocked a little by her
rules that are
shoulder.
in place.
So just to kind of put it all in perspective, if anyone wants to visit our great state.
Yeah, it's definitely a breakdown of the rule of law. Oh, it's all the stuff I've been talking about for a long time. It'd be nice if people police themselves. It'd be nice if the homeless people, if their family members showed up and took them in, so they didn't have to squat a log on the bike trail at Venice Beach. But unfortunately, sadly, that's just how life works. And also, I've been harping on this sort of family thing since Loveline, because I started to realize that all the woes in our society, all the abuse and all the drugs and all the unemployment, all the whatever, it was all coming from these bad families. But and everyone wants to talk about, I always talk about crime, unemployment, like all the things that could be fixed with good families. But just imagine what it would do to the homeless population. Let's just imagine ourselves living in a world where this homeless person had an intact family, like a family as we know it, not a rich family, and not a family, where she works at a psychiatric ward and can get him a bed, like not that, just an intact family, just
The bishops.
just the bishops,
Right down the middle.
right down the middle, mediocrity.
Yep, that's right.
Goal achieved.
Not what I meant.
So here's what I'm saying. That would, and then assholes who argue with me, and anyone who argues with me is an asshole. They say, yeah, but what about the guy who's schizophrenic and he won't take his meds and he's a black belt in Taekwondo? It's like, okay, well, we're not going to help that guy then. All right, but then there's another 81% of the homeless that we might help, or 44%. Or 73%.
It's a big chunk either way.
Big fat chunk of people. So I'm going to go ahead and announce that I don't know what we could do to help that guy. But as I said, my little experiment done on the ground is have a brother-in-law severely schizophrenic. Severely. I mean, unemployable, kicked in at 19, not able to work. Severe. Oh, he's okay. He's living with his brother in a guest house on his property. Like he's being. Yes.
Do you guys see him ever? Do you interact with him?
I refuse to interact with him because I know a lot of people don't know this, but I know schizophrenia is contagious.
Oh, I didn't really. Oh, the droplets.
Well, then you're
Gotta wear your
smart enough
mask.
to interact with him, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so down with the COVID-19, but the schizophrenia thing,
see.
I do have concerns about.
I
see him on occasion, and he suffers from that, but he's not suffering in his life. He has people around him. They take care of him. They provide. They look after him, and they all kind of rallied around him. And they didn't quit their jobs and make the guy a full-time job. They just sort of take turns taking care of him and doing what's right. And I've chipped in, and it's like, oh, he needs a new car. Let's find him a used car. That kind of stuff. Who's going to drive him to UCLA to take his medications or to get his evaluations? Someone's got to drive him to UCLA. Like, yeah, that's who drives you to UCLA. Your sister, your brother, your mom, your dad. That's who's in charge of getting you to UCLA. And the more the family falls apart, the more this you're going to see. And the more that you're going to see I was thinking about this with Bryan. I was thinking about his medications, and then I was thinking about side effects, and I was actually talking to Dr. Drew about it because, I don't know, he's a doctor. I like to put things in that parlance or ease.
He knows things, yeah.
Yeah, I said.
I'm curious what he said.
Oh, I said, no, I wasn't. I don't care about you. I'm saying as a metaphor, as a metaphor.
Just a metaphor.
I said the family falling apart, and it's up. I mean, the percentages are up. And, everyone kind of thinks about it in terms of the black community because the black community is very high, but the white community is up a lot, too. It's pretty high, too. And so is the Hispanic community. And if you take a look at family falling apart, to me, that's the drug. And the side effects are incarceration and joblessness and spousal abuse and substance abuse and education. Everything is a side effect that suffers. And so I don't know why, but we live in a society that went, all right, what's the root cause of the prison population or the violence or the homelessness or the lack of education or anything? I don't know, smoking. People that come from broken families smoke at a greater, have higher alcohol intake, probably use less condoms and turn signals. Okay. Oh. Yes, it's proven. So the point is if it's this one cause leads to all these side effects, why don't we talk about the cause a little bit and see what we can do instead of chasing the side effects? Because all you do is chase side effects. You chase crime. You chase homelessness. You chase addiction. You chase it. You don't stop it anywhere. You chase it. So it'd be nice, at least in this podcaster's opinion, to look at the sort of the drug and not really the side effects. If your patient is having a ton of horrible side effects. So if you're taking this drug and you have rashes and nausea and everything like that, instead of going, well, get some salve for your rash or get some bromide for your nausea, like, well, why don't we think about adjusting the medication? Mm-hmm. That's my metaphor for this.
Can I tell you really fast? When you said that, something just shot into my head, and I thought, did I dream this? Or is this true? And so I just did a quick Google search. There's this town in, I think it's Geel, Geel, Belgium. Mm-hmm. And I knew about it because I heard it on a podcast, probably like This American Life or something. And it says, in Geel, Belgium, residents have brought mentally ill strangers into their home for centuries. And I remember hearing this podcast that they just take someone in. It's just in their own little site. It's not a big deal. And these people start to thrive. And the community thrives because everybody has a home and a task and a routine. And it's like this town is like a little experiment.
Yeah, people, the routine part of life that used to be foisted on us by the life we led, the routine of get up, go to work, do that thing, go pump some well water, go light a fire, boil the water, all the routines of life. The routines of life have gone away, obviously, because of the smartphone and people are working at home and all that kind of stuff. And I got to tell you, when I turn on the news and I see like the 23-year-old blonde chick just screaming her lungs out an inch and a half in front of the black cop, I'm like, you need a little routine in your life, sweetheart. Like, you need a little basic training. You need a little get up. You need Arlie Ermy banging on a trash can with a wooden spoon at 6 a.m. calling you a maggot. What we're experiencing is way too much downtime. Way too much downtime. And by the way, I can't believe there's not more incidents of cops just taking a nightstick and putting it in the ribs of somebody. Like, how long could you stand there while some idiot put his face against your face and started screaming at you that you're, traitor to your race before you just fucking snapped? Like, it's insane how much of that's going on. But I've never seen 23-year-old chicks more miserable in my life. And I think it's got to do with this lack of purpose and routine. All right, let me hit cuts, T-shirts, menswear. These things are a menswear staple. Everyone wears T-shirts, but they're plagued by the shrinkage and the bacon neck. Oh, that's true. Color fade, wrinkles, stretching. Cuts clothing completely change the game. Quality, style, office. You can wear it to the office. You can wear it on a date, anywhere in between. Fit, fabric, function, pre-shrunk, wrinkle-free, retains shape. I'm wearing mine right now. I'm actually wearing it right under my Podcast One T-shirt, and it's Burke. See? I'll pull it up.
Look at you.
You can choose your collar. You can go crew neck or V-neck or Henley. Also, you can choose a cut, elongated or split hem or basic curve hem. New PYCA. That's Pika polos, and they're like no other polo you've ever worn. Cuts officially reinvented the polo. Only shirt worth wearing. Once you wear Cuts, that's it. You'll never go back to your old T-shirt ever again. Right, Dawson?
See why Cuts is the only shirt worth wearing. Loved by your favorite athletes, entrepreneurs, and even podcast hosts. It seems like everyone is wearing Cuts these days. Get 15% off your first order by going to cutsclothing.com/Adam. That's cutsclothing.com/Adam for 15% off the only shirt worth wearing.
One more quick thought. I was watching some MMA fights the other day, and I thought, here's why MMA is the most badass sport on the planet, because you had a guy who's been on the show, I think, before, Uriah Faber's a kind of legendary guy, and he was fighting, and it doesn't really matter who he was fighting or when it was an older fight, but he was on the ground, a guy was on top of him. His face was a bloody mess. I mean, just a mess. He'd opened up. He had a huge cut that had opened up with it all swollen up like a big mouse next to his left eye. It was all open. It's going to require multiple stitches, and, you know, his nose is probably broken. I mean, he was just a mess. He's on his back. The guy's on top of him. He's dropping elbows on this guy's face, which has already been destroyed. So the ref stops it. The ref goes, hold on, timeout. I want to let the doctor look at this, because there may be a stoppage here. Mm-hmm. So he gets up, his face is covered with blood. He walks over to the doctor. The doctor's shining the flashlight and opening up the cut, seeing if it's getting down to the bone and stuff like that. It's a mess. And then the doctor's like, I think he's okay to continue. And the ref's like, oh, okay. All right. So the ref walks him back over to the spot he was, and he's like, okay, lay down. Uh-huh. He lays down on his back. He's like, hey, other guy, get on top. You're on top? Okay, get ready with those elbows. Yeah, okay, here we go. The guy's just dropping more elbows on him, and I'm like,
Jesus.
That's how it works?
That's how it works, because that's the position they were in.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be fair to the guy who got him into that position to have them both standing now because of this guy's cuts. But it was ironic that they had the doctor go, is this okay? I think he's okay. All right, get on your back. You with the sharp elbows, get on top.
Can you imagine if, like, fights by the lockers worked like that with the principal? He's okay.
Get back where you are. Bye, nerd.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We got Rotten Tomatoes coming up, right, Max Zapata? All right, we'll do that, and we'll bring AJ in, who I love. We'll do that right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Adam, this is Rollin, 29, Milwaukee. In addition to the humor bits lost in time, where did straitjacket humor go?
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Yeah, it went with Napoleon. That guy thinks he's Napoleon, and guys with giant butterfly nets chasing people. Imagine how that, we take a look back at some of this racial stuff or some of this stuff, Gone with the Wind. There's a racial component. There's also that part where he gets drunk and drags her upstairs to rape her and stuff like that. But think about dealing with mental disease and how it was looked at in every movie and every sitcom. And it was literally a guy in a white suit would chase you with a giant net.
Send you to the loony bin.
Yeah.
That's right, the loony bin.
Hatch.
All right. Do we have Rotten Tomatoes, Dawson?
Listen to that noise. It's a high falsetto voice. That can only mean one thing, and you can feel it.
Dawson names her flicks, and the gang makes their picks, guessing if it's rotten or fresh.
If they guess it exactly, we'll get a bonus 5.
It's the Rotten Tomatoes game. You know how we do it. Give me the Rotten Tomatoes game.
All right, this week on the Rotten Tomatoes game, there's a cocktail party. The catch is only people born on Adam Carolla's birthday are allowed in. Come for the Mangria, stay for the 10-hour movie marathon. We're screening of all of the following films. First, we talk about Paul Bettany. In addition to being every man's hero for betting Jennifer Connelly, he's also been in some killer movies. Nowadays, people know him from the Marvel Universe, but back in 2006, he starred as the villain opposite Tom Hanks in an adaptation of one of the most famous books of the early 21st century. From 2006, The Da Vinci Code.
God, he was in that.
That's right. I saw this in the theater.
Yeah. Yeah.
They obviously did their. Oh, he's right there on the poster. Never mind. I thought he was in the sequel for some reason. Never mind. He's
So
right
this
there.
is the first one. People liked the first one, right? I mean, it was talked
popular.
about. The book was popular. I thought they
It was
liked
a massive hit.
the movie or the book.
The book. I think the movie made a lot of money too, but the book was a phenomenon.
But the Tom Hanks haircut was weird, right? Was that what was going
Yeah,
on?
long.
Yeah.
It
So
was weird.
all right, but
Did Paul Bettany keep scourging himself? Keep like flagellating himself? Wasn't that? Did anyone see this movie on this panel here? Like, he kept like whipping himself or something.
yeah, I remember.
Self-flagellation.
I remember. Well, sometimes it's difficult because the film doesn't live up to the book. But I remember this was a big movie. I remember there's talk about his hair. I think they liked the first one and not the second one. I have no idea, and I say 69%.
Oh man, I'm right there with you. I said 68%.
75.
The Da Vinci Code is rotten at 26%.
Really? Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
I
Boring movie.
I heard the sequel was garbage, but I didn't know the people hated this one,
I
or the
did not
critics.
know
at least.
that. All right, we're all off to a horrible start.
Actor Christopher Lee was also born on May 27th. Granted, it was back in 1922. Over the years, he's played villains in many iconic films, from Dracula to Lord of the Rings to Star Wars. Not surprisingly, director Tim Burton loved him, cast him in many of his films over the years. But let's talk about The Headless Horseman with Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci
Yes,
in
let's.
1999's Sleepy Hollow.
That's right. I saw this in theaters.
That bodes well.
I can't remember this. I didn't see this. I don't know if it's
I have
bad.
almost no recollection of this movie. I forgot Christopher Lee was in it.
I mean, Johnny Depp's great, and he's usually does pretty stellar work in his movies. I don't know why. What do you think the appeal of a movie like this for a guy like Johnny Depp? Like, is it a money grab? Does he go, this is interesting work? I mean,
He's getting paid a lot, I'm sure, because it's a big studio picture. But working with Tim Burton, that's like his guy. He's the De Niro to his Scorsese.
Mm-hmm.
So I think getting back together with Tim Burton and making a kind of iconic story probably was appealing.
all right, so Tim Burton makes good movies by and large. Johnny Depp, by and large. I didn't hear anything horrible about this movie. I say that's a good enough duo to bring it to 66%.
You and I are close again. It's 61, barely fresh.
Very close, barely rotten. 59.
Sleepy Hollow is fresh at 68%.
Ooh, look at you.
We all got back in it on that one.
That's about right.
Lou Gossett Jr. is also joining the party. And in honor of the legendary guest, we'll look at the film that won him his Academy Award, part melodrama, part sweeping romance. The film that stars Richard Gere and Deborah Winger from 1982, An Officer and a Gentleman.
Never seen this.
It was a big movie when I was in high school. Everyone saw it. I think it had a big soundtrack to it. It had a couple of singles.
Oh, they're big. Yeah.
Love Lift Us Up Where We Belong, one of those.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It had a big romantic ending. Lou Gossett was great. Richard was great, except for the part where he rode his motorcycle to the camp at the beginning and left both his fucking feet out like a pontoon when he took off from the stop sign. If you ever want to realize that someone can't ride a motorcycle, if you guys are ever on the street and you see a guy ride up on a motorcycle to a stop sign or to a signal, and then the signal turns green, and as that person pulls away, both feet are hanging out wide, not back on the pegs, just out for the next 100 feet, that means that person can't ride a motorcycle. Because people who ride a motorcycle don't do that. They put one foot down, and they pop it up before the bike even starts. You can just pop your foot up and let the clutch out, and you'll just go. That's how guys who ride motorcycles do it. So I knew from the beginning this was fake, and that he probably wasn't even really in the military.
What?
Yeah.
Hold on.
I'm
That's
serious.
blasphemy.
I'm serious. So
Can we verify that?
this soundtrack reached 38 on Billboard's top 200, staying up for 23 weeks. All right. This was a feel-good movie that had Lou Gossett was nominated. I don't know if he won, but he was great in it. And this is a good movie. I don't know what the beef is if it wasn't, but I'm going to say 87.
Oh, man, we went a little lower, 69, trying to play it safe.
Ooh, 89 for me.
An Officer and a Gentleman is fresh at 79%.
And Lou did win for that movie.
Lou did win. People at 81, so it's pretty close to the tomato meter.
Next up, an actor who's only slightly less famous than his brother. Sure, Ray Fiennes has credits like Schindler's List, Harry Potter, and The Hurt Locker. But Joseph Fiennes is no slouch, currently starring in the hit series Handmaid's Tale. He once played William Shakespeare in the film that beat out Saving Private Ryan for Best Picture from 1998, Shakespeare in Love.
I know we hate Weinstein, but this is such a great movie.
I love this movie.
It's fantastic.
It's probably pretty big in prison, too, so that'll cut him some slack with some of the locals, like the Aryan Brotherhood or the Lowriders or the Black whatever. You know, a lot of those guys are into this. Because whenever I see that show Cribs, I always see Scarface and then Shakespeare in Love hanging in the guy's custom theater in Florida. So this is good. This is a great movie. And now, is it in the 90s? Is it I mean, everyone loved this. It was a cool movie. I thought it was, and also it's good for the critics, right? Because you got her disguising herself as a man, and the themes are good. Everything's good. I'm going to say I'm going 91.
I went a little lower at 85. I think some critics saw this maybe as lightweight.
Yeah, I may have gone too high. I said 90.
Shakespeare in Love is certified fresh at 92%.
Ooh, dang.
I needed that.
See, people have it at 80, so this is one of those critics movies.
And finally, Kalen may have forgotten Todd Bridges on the initial list. But let's not leave him out of the Rotten Tomatoes game. Yes, Different Strokes star does appear in a couple movies, including one with David Spade, John Lovitz, and Alyssa Milano, released by Paramount and raking in $22 million.
Raking in.
From 2003, Dickie Roberts, former child star.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is a movie.
Now,
Who's playing Dickie Roberts?
That's Spade, David Spade. The reason there was a whole. So I was doing Loveline on MTV, and I feel it. What year did you say this was? Must have been during that period.
2003.
Yeah, I think, or maybe it came on Loveline on MTV. But they had a whole group of movies that were like Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo, and Dickie Roberts, child star, and they. There was a Rodney Dangerfield one where he played a politician called like Bobby Briggs. What was the politician? There was they would just come up with the name.
Joe Dirt. Joe Dirt.
Right. They'd come up with the name of the guy, and then they'd go, well, what's the movie about? I don't know. The guy's name is Joe Dirt. What do you think the movie should be about? They're always shitty movies. They don't really get. It's funny. They should be. We should have more disdain for these shitty movies in our society, but we don't. We kind of, it's fluff. We got to make fun of Sandler. We don't have time for this stuff.
Yeah.
But what was the Rodney Dangerfield's movie where he just played? It was a name. It's just his name.
Something Sparks.
Yeah, Bubba. Oh God, it was like Bubba Sparks or something.
Meet Wally Sparks.
Meet Wally Sparks. Yeah, that was probably like 99 or 2000 or something. There's just a lot of those movies where they put the name on it. All right. So here's how we stand, as far as I can tell. I think I have a very marginal lead, maybe 1.5 points. Bryan's a little bit behind Gina. Gina and I are pretty knotted up. Bryan, I feel like he needs 10 or 14 points to get back into this. Now, the safe bet on something like, see, David Spade is quietly charming. So
very.
People like him. He's a likable guy, and he's good on camera, and so he, this could be a 41, but it could also be an 11, and that's why this one's tough. Shakespeare in Love is going to be 85 plus. Shakespeare in Love is between 85 and 95, right? So if you got a lead, just go 90. But this could be a 13 type movie, but it could also be 44. It's not going to be fresh. I say, and Bryan is going to have to make a move in the low department. It's just my opinion. I'm going to protect by going lower than I thought. Oh, Bryan could just go 0. I'm going to say 22.
0. 0.
I split the difference, 12.
12. All right.
This is going to be for the win. Dickie Roberts' former child star is rotten.
Yes!
At 22%.
Oh, look at you.
Kidding.
Woo, that was quietly, when I say quietly, I'll be talking about it for the next 70 minutes, but quietly one of the stronger performances the Ace Man has put it quietly, very quietly.
Is that a 5-point deduction?
Yes, it is. Here are your scores.
Mother.
That's why quietly I'll be tweeting about it later.
Gina Grad, congratulations. You made the podium.
Thank you.
Bald Bryan, you did as well. Your score, 88, bro. 88. Gina Grad.
Snowman.
80 for second place.
Oh.
Congratulations. Adam Carolla, 49 for the win.
Wow.
Oh, you know what it is? We all got out on the gate with like a 40 burger.
Shitty. Yeah.
And then since then, I only put on like 9 or 8 or whatever since the last 4.
6 points.
6 points since the 40 burger.
Yeah.
Oh, with the 5 deduction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the Rotten Tomatoes game. You know how we do it.
All right. AJ Baime, who you got to forgive me when I say AJ Benza or AJ Baime, because I say my toggle back and forth between those two lovable characters. AJ not only wrote Go Like Hell, Ford v. Ferrari, basically. I don't know if that lawsuit's been settled, but it was optioned a bunch of times. Also, AJ wrote The Arsenal of Democracy, which is another great book I read, very interesting about Ford gearing up for World War II.
Whoa. I'm sorry. You read?
Oh, I
read the whole
listened.
thing?
I listened.
Oh,
I listened.
Just doesn't add up.
Like, this doesn't add up.
I did the audiobook. And then
good.
first book, I forgot about this. Big Shots, The Men Behind the Booze, all the Jack Daniels and all those booze companies with all those names and all those characters and all that stuff. There were real people at some time. It's great name, right? Big Shots. Then we got this new book, Dewey Defeats Truman, and we'll talk about the election and the battle for America's soul. And he's so good that all his books always get optioned and put in development and all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk to him about that. First, I'll tell you about True Niagen. I've been taking cellular health vitamin True Niagen for a few months now. It's probably more like five or six. I've been on this for a while. I feel great. Dr. Drew's been on this for, I think, a couple of years, and he feels great. As we get older, our bodies experience a near 50% decline in NAD, which negatively affects our health and the health of our cells and our bodies. Lifestyle stressors like intense exercise, lack of sleep, stress on the immune system, overeating also deplete NAD because cells expend more energy to function. Backed by Nobel Prize-winning scientists and clinical research and global regulatory approvals, True Niagen is the real deal. I know the owner of this company. He's spent his life building this company and building this science. Support cellular energy and defense. Visit True Niagen, TruNiagen.com. Use the code Adam. Get $20 off any 3-month supply or 3-month plus supply until July 31st. This is the real deal, people. All right, take a quick break. We'll come back with AJ right after this.
The Adam Carolla Show presents AJ Baime's birthday cocktail party for July 24th. Let's see who else shares his birthday. Now, first up, Jennifer Lopez. Hey, look, it's Amelia Earhart. Now entering Karl Malone. Welcome, Wonder Woman, Linda Carter. And Michael Richards. Enjoy your party, AJ. Now, back to the Adam Carolla Show.
Not a bad birthday cocktail party. I mean, Amelia Earhart. That's interesting, especially someone who loves aviation like AJ Baime. AJ, known for a while, of course, we've worked with him on Go Like Hell and 24-Hour War and all that as well. Always good to see you, my friend.
It's great to be. I'm wearing sunglasses in the studio. I didn't even realize I was wearing them, so I apologize. Luckily, there's no camera staring at me. Yeah, I'm that guy today.
Your process, I'm very interested in it. I know you pick out subjects you like, and in Go Like Hell, I mean, you're way ahead of the curve in that story, obviously, with what happened after that. And then Arsenal of Democracy there's a little Ford component there. But how do you pick out the subjects? What is that process like of your books?
Well, I'll tell you what, I like to write, I grew up a huge movie fan, so I like to write books that feel like movies. And you can't have a great story without a super incredible climax. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I think of is the climax. What's the climax of the story? And then once I've got that figured out, once I know that's going to be gripping and exciting, and see who the characters are who are involved there, then I work my way backwards. Those are the main characters at the beginning.
It's a good idea. I mean, so it's like you would write a story about I guess it was 1980 American hockey team, knowing that was a crazy big win at the end, and then sort of go back and write it.
That's exactly what. In fact, I just wrote that story. Did you see that?
No.
Okay, it's the 40th anniversary of the Miracle on Ice.
It is
in February. So I just wrote a big story about it. Yeah.
Where is it out? Where is it?
AARP, the most widely read magazine in the country.
When did that come out?
February.
It's weird that I used that as an example. Yeah. It's weird. So if you're tuned in a little, you'll get lucky a lot with weird coincidences like we just had. I had never thought about that as an example, but it's weird that you're sitting here and you wrote that thing. And then people could go, well, maybe I did see the article and I didn't know about it, but I don't remember seeing it. And I don't read a lot of articles or even any. So good. So AJ, I don't know what you can talk about in terms of Go Like Hell, Ford v. Ferrari, and all that kind of stuff. And now Michael Mann's doing a Ferrari thing with, who's playing? What's his name?
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman is playing Enzo Ferrari. But did you settle all that stuff? Is it still an ongoing? Is it fluid? Is it in the courts? How did that work?
No, it's nothing like that. I have nothing against that movie at all. I'm thrilled by its success. We're selling a lot of books. And, the weird thing is there was a movie being developed based on my book for so many years. That specific movie didn't have my name on it. So believe it or not, I haven't even seen it. So I haven't gone to see it. What did you think about it?
You haven't seen Ford v. Ferrari?
That's correct. I haven't seen it.
Wow.
I'm probably the only person on the planet. What did you think? Did you like it?
Yeah, it's entertaining. It's a good movie. I'm happy for it because of my business with those events, and we did a Shelby documentary called Shelby American as well. So, yeah, now you can't sit there and pick everything apart because I know the story very well. You know the story very well. And it'll ruin it if you watch it with your jeweler's loop and go, oh, they didn't do that, or his son wasn't that big a deal, or, whatever. He didn't. They took artistic license, fine. Just enjoy the movie. Just because you know stuff. I guess it's like, I feel like a chef who would like to go eat out at other restaurants, and I don't want to just pick it apart all the time. I want to enjoy my meal. You know what I mean? So that's the way I kind of felt about that movie.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I heard the gamut. I heard the nerds. You always get in the car world, you get the nerds. They always want to tell you how much they know and how much you don't.
Right.
So those are the people who say, oh, that movie wasn't good for this reason or that reason. And then you get the other side. Like, people are just so passionate about these brands and thrilled to see the whole thing happen.
Dewey Defeats Truman. Why this book, which is available as we speak on Amazon?
Well, again, I wrote this book called The Accidental President about Harry Truman's first 4 months in office, and it went bonkers. People went crazy for it, and it kept selling. And it was number 3 Kindle, I think, 2 weeks ago. Number 3 best-selling Kindle book. So we figured we had to do a Truman follow-up. And so, as I was saying, what's the best story? What's the story you want to tell? You start with the climax, and the climax is, him winning the 1948 election. It's just an extraordinary story. So it started like that.
And tell us the story. Well, not the entire story. But.
It took me 330 pages to tell. But basically, we're talking about the greatest upset, the greatest comeback, and the greatest upset in American electioneering history.
Right, and that's the famous Dewey Defeats Truman on the, I guess it's the New York Times?
Chicago Tribune.
Oh, Chicago Tribune.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically Rocky. It's like Rocky the movie, except it's political pugilism.
Mm-hmm. And what do they think? I mean, they didn't have all the computers and, the CNNs and all that stuff, but they still had an idea of who was ahead and who was losing in the polls.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely. So all the pollsters had pretty much counted Truman out right at the beginning. And some of the pollsters said, we're not even going to do polls because there's no point. It's a waste of time and money. It was the first election to play out in the television machine, so that's pretty cool.
Right.
The first election in the atomic age. So literally, as these guys are campaigning across the country, there are literally nuclear bombs going off as we're testing, larger and larger weapons in the Pacific. There's a lot happening.
And is why was it a foregone conclusion? Like, why didn't people think Truman stood a chance?
Well, the easiest way to answer that question is we were coming out of World War II, and it was a disaster. I mean, what we did to win World War II then now had to be undone, and there wasn't any way to do it smoothly. The economics of it, the migration, figuring out basically a lot of economics, and people were really, really, really pissed off. And so, 16 years of New Deal Democrats, they're figuring, okay, let's do this. We're going to put a Republican in office, and so that's what everybody believed.
I was talking to Chris as I was thinking about you coming in, and I was thinking about, I read an article or heard an article read about them wanting to tear down a Lincoln statue somewhere on some college campus, and I thought, oh, where does it end, man? But then I've always used the example, and I'm not sure why more people aren't wired this way. The question is, this college student said, we got to tear down this statue of Lincoln because he said bad things about African Americans. But it's like, yeah, but he did good things for African Americans. And I never got the part where it's like, this person says this, but they're doing that. And it made me immediately think of Charles Lindbergh. And immediately think of Henry Ford. And it's like those guys were big-time anti-Semites who wanted to kill Nazis. badly. So,
counterintuitive.
All right, but I would rather have him talking shit about Jews and killing Nazis than the other way around. It'd be nice if they didn't talk shit about Jews and then just killed Nazis, but that's not really the choice. They were anti-Semitic, and then they did a good job of trying to blow up Germans. But go ahead.
Well, just for starters, it's fascinating to think. So these two guys, Henry Ford and Lindbergh, were the preeminent anti-war activists, anti-FDR activists, traveling around the country. These men are hugely famous. They're huge anti-Semites, and they were both awarded with a Nazi medal, both of them.
Wow.
Which is incredible if you think about it. Now, Pearl Harbor happens, and these two guys, they get together and they say, all right, we might as well stop building cars now. And they actually partner to build the most destructive weapon in our arsenal at the time, which was the B-24, and mass produce it so it became and still is the most mass-produced American military aircraft of all time.
At Willow Run.
That's right.
They built a whole big factory somewhere around Dearborn, I guess. And Lindbergh was the test pilot, right?
Yeah, so Lindbergh comes and he starts working it's the biggest airplane. They build from scratch in an empty field, the biggest airplane factory in the world. And Lindbergh is in charge of test flying these B-24s before they go into battle. But also, he starts conducting these wild experiments of seeing what altitude he can fly in a fighter plane and still survive. And test superchargers, too.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That like for the Ford, sorry, not Ford,
Yeah,
but
for the
Mustang.
That's right.
Yeah. Those engines were supercharged as V12s. Merlin Marine and Allison maybe made those things. And Rolls Royce, sorry. So my question is why aren't we tearing down statues of Lindbergh? Because that guy was a horrible anti-Semite, and it's the same difference, which is, he did some good things, but look at what he said. So Gina, I'm not telling your tribe what to do, but let's saddle up, shall we? You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's get going.
Yeah.
And Henry Ford, for that matter. There are two Fords in Dearborn statues and one in Fort Myers, Florida. And Lindbergh has a monument in Georgia and one in Minnesota State Capitol and one in San Diego, if memory serves. Is that right?
None in St. Louis?
Yeah. Where's the spirit of St. Louis, man? He flew that thing right through the Utah Arch. It's an inside joke.
I got a question for AJ.
Yeah, what do you got?
AJ, I'd always heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the expert, that as vice president, that Truman didn't know about the Manhattan Project. In fact, he wasn't told about it until he took over as president. Is that true?
That's true. So that's all in my book, The Accidental President. What happened is FDR dies. It's 4:09 p.m., I think, something like that, 7:09, whatever. East Coast time. Truman finds out. He gets rushed to the Oval Office. He takes the oath. And suddenly he's president of the United States. And the Secretary of War, Henry Stimson, calls him into this little room, shuts the door and says, hey, you're the president of the United States. We have this little secret we need to tell you, but I can't really tell you what it is. And that's all Truman learns that night. So he's president now. He goes home. He lives on this little apartment in Connecticut Avenue. He has a ham sandwich and a glass of buttermilk and goes to sleep. And then when he shows up at work the next day, that's when he finds out about it.
Kind of short-sighted not to tell the vice president of the president who has polio that what's not going on. Like, didn't you see an expiration date coming? And
amazingly high blood pressure. I mean, everybody knew he was going to die, and he didn't tell.
What year did he die?
April 12th, 1945.
And he never knew about the Manhattan Project.
Well, that's why I wrote that book. I found it so fascinating that the night he becomes president, he doesn't know about the Manhattan Project.
Right.
4 months later, he drops the bomb. So that's the book because that's the story. 4 months of time. FDR
obviously knew.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's Manhattan Project we brought all the big, former, I guess, German scientists, right? Jews that were fleeing and many others, and they just started the space program for the atomic bomb. There's a high school named after Lindbergh in St. Louis. So
tear it down.
That's problematic, right?
It's
anti-Semitic.
And Dearborn named after Henry Ford.
Problematic.
Gotta go.
Tear it down.
I'm going to get on the horn with the Anti-Defamation League.
Please do, as long as we're being consistent here. It's funny you were talking about B-24 and B-24 Willow Run and the most produced military airplane. In my interviewing, in research, and then interviewing with Sean Penn, yesterday's guest. Boy, talk about the bends. We go from Sean Penn to AJ. Cramping up. But
You don't have to stand for this, AJ.
All right.
AJ Baime. No, so I was talking to him, and his dad flew in a B-24, and he flew over Germany, and he flew night runs. And he was a rear tail gunner and a bombardier, and he flew, I think, 37 missions, which is a lot more than they needed to fly. But he did fly in that aircraft. And it's kind of, I don't know, what was it, seven stages of Kevin Bacon, or how much was it,
6 degrees.
6 degrees. 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Like, we've gotten the B-24 and Sean Penn's dad and AJ Baime all just sort of connected to one another in 5 seconds here.
I am the biggest Sean Penn fan on the planet.
Are you?
I'd be willing to bet that I've seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High more times than any walking human alive, including you.
Well, I mean, I asked him about that and that process. And for those of you who heard yesterday's show, you heard it, but I'll just be quick. He said he went in for the audition and he whiffed it and started heading out to the parking lot. And the guy who was the casting director turned out to be good at his job, like ran out, caught him in the parking lot and went, "You didn't do a good job, but you could do this. So like, come back in and try this again." Not you got the part, just come back in and try it again, which he did, which is rare, right?
Do you remember Bad Boys?
I brought it up to him.
He was incredible. That scene where he puts the sodas into the pillowcase and beats that dude.
People, the chasm between Spicoli and the character in Bad Boys, that's when I was like, oh, this guy can act. Because before that, he was Spicoli, and Bad Boys was like a super gritty. It was the next movie Sean Penn did, and it was super gritty, young guys in prison, scary, kind of scared straight kind of a movie. Like, you don't want to end up there, go there. And he played this gritty, like, street kid who was a criminal who had nothing to do with Spicoli. Like, it was badass Sean Penn, sort of badass Sean Penn.
Super badass, but a redeeming character because he had this wonderful love for the female lead. And he was so faithful to her that made you like his character, even though he was a really violent dude.
So why haven't you seen Ford v Ferrari? That seems like
strange to you.
It does.
Well, listen, again, all I can say is what I just already said. It was 7 years that my book was being developed, and I was on your show talking about it years ago. It was reported in the press and everything. That specific movie didn't have my name on it, and so I haven't seen it.
All right, but
I got nothing against it. I'm so happy
Bryan,
that it's successful.
Have you ever seen movies about? You only see movies about books you write, right? Or you haven't seen this? What's the rule?
I love movies, but I try not to see ones that don't have my name attached.
I saw a movie called Fantasia once, and then I realized, wait a minute, I didn't create this product, and I walked out in the middle of it.
I was halfway into Terminator 2, and I'm like, I had nothing to do with this, and I fucking walked out.
Oh man, I wish
Thrilled
Sean
with
Penn
the
was
success.
here.
It's great. I'm pleased it happened.
So, for you live a little out of town, right?
I live in the middle of nowhere.
Where is that middle of nowhere?
It's a small town called Granite Bay. So I'm working on a new book now that's really, really, really controversial. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to make sure that everybody knows where I live. So when the crazies come out, they know where to find me.
What's so controversial about your new book subject?
It's about a guy named Walter White, and he identified as African-American, but his skin was as white as yours, and he becomes an investigator, an undercover investigator, investigating the lynchings of black people in the South. So starting in 1918 and 1919, and he starts writing about this and becomes this very successful investigator. And the stuff that he found down there is so unnerving and incredible, it will be hard for a lot of people to believe that these things actually happen in the United States of America.
And
at what point in the book do you think they're going to realize that it's not a book about Breaking Bad?
See, that's funny. That's actually in the introduction because
Is it?
It is because part of the story is why you don't know who this guy is. He had a tragic fall from grace at the end of the book. And I'm not going to give away the ending right now, but there you go. Walter. That's why Walter White is Breaking Bad. Exactly.
Did he come from a mixed background?
He did. Both of his parents were born into slavery in Atlanta. And I guess it's 1906, and I think he's 11 years old. And the Atlanta riot happens, the Atlanta race riots.
What year was that? Sorry?
1906.
1906.
And so he sees this. This is in the first chapter. And he's standing on the porch of his house with a gun. He's 10 years old. And his father says to him, don't shoot. There's this mob coming to get him. Mm-hmm. And his father says, don't shoot until they step foot on our lawn. And then don't miss. And so he has this future where he could go and pass as white and live as a white person his whole life. He's a real brilliant guy, could be really successful, but he chooses to identify as black, and he becomes the greatest racial crusader of his generation.
Wow.
Interesting guy.
And we won't give away how he died, but when did he die?
1955.
So what did he make it to? What was that?
60-something. He literally worked himself to death.
Really?
4 packs. There he is. 4 packs of cigarettes a day. You guys are good, man. That's him. So look at it.
Wow. Yeah, it does not look black. But I don't know. Ask Roseanne Barr. Let's see if she can. Because she's really the one that does she's the yardstick that we measure all race identification by.
Have we heard from her lately?
I have not heard from her in a while. I had a list of people that I kind of always studied as like when they were at the height of their powers. I was kind of saying to people, they're not as funny as you think they are. And they'd go, what do you mean? Pauly Shore's funny, or whoever's funny. I go, not as funny as you think they are. And I think Roseanne has kind of proved.
Who's somebody who is as funny and funnier than you would think?
Well, I don't know off the top of my head. Not that people don't know this, but my son just brought up Bill Hader and how funny he thought he was, and I was like, "Oh my God, is that guy funny?" And he's like, "Yeah, I like his whatever." And I said, "Have you ever see the SNL bit where he's the Italian talk show host and he's like interviewing Robert De Niro?" My son's like, "No, I don't know that one." I was like, "That guy, when that guy does." First off, you don't think of Bill Hader as this you don't think of him like Will Ferrell. You know what I mean? Yep. You don't think of this like fountain of creativity and comedy. We know better than most people. I'm saying your average American doesn't go, Bill Hader, that guy's the funniest guy, whatever. But when you see him do his sort of androgynous entertainment reporter.
I actually have a poster of that. My daughter, my 13-year-old daughter, she has a poster of that on the wall because she thinks she's 13. She thinks that's the funniest thing she's ever seen.
Yes, his name is, I don't know, Seth or something.
What's
I can't
his
remember.
name? Oh,
we'll figure out his name.
Who knows his name?
When you realize he does that character and then does the Italian talk show host, you go, well, that fucking guy's got range, man.
I could see, just to watch that guy move his face. He's so talented. He could be funny without speaking.
Yeah, no, he's an amazingly talented guy. It's not a great example of like who's funny and, But speaking of that, Bryan Cranston is a lot funnier probably than you think. And the reason I'm bringing up Cranston is my son is watching the bejesus out of Breaking Bad, right? And it's kind of fun when your kids get a little older and they start stumbling onto shows that existed before them, but they're really enjoying it, So he's watching Stefan.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know who Herb Welch is, but...
He's a reporter that Bill plays as well.
Oh, okay. So he's getting on to Breaking Bad. And so I said to him the other day, I said, I did a crowdfunding thing with a movie I did, Road Hard, with Bryan Cranston in it, and you should see how funny he is. And my son was like, you did a thing with Bryan Cranston? I was like, yeah, I did a thing with Bryan Cranston. And I pulled up this bit that we did. We just shot it above his garage in his house in the valley. And he was so goddamn funny in it. And I realized, he's got amazing chops. So it could steer toward drama, but definitely could be guided toward funny as well.
Yeah, well, listen, good on that guy for, he earned it. But that's his Walter White character is the best. Like, if you're any actor in the world, what's the character you want to play? That's the one.
That's the one.
Find the Italian guy, but find that find that crowdfunding thing with me and
We'll get
Cranston
both of
too.
them.
It'll make you laugh.
And don't forget about his Keith Morrison from Dateline.
Oh yeah, when Bill Hader does Keith
Fantastic.
Morrison. Yeah, I mean he's super goddamn funny. All right, I'll play it. It'll work
there it is.
from an audio standpoint, and we'll play 2 minutes of it.
Okay, yeah, these are just the outtakes from.
Oh
the,
well, don't do
yeah,
that one.
okay.
Get the regular one. Because that's it's easy to find. It's on the internet.
I remember hearing Anthony Hopkins even wrote a letter to Bryan Cranston after watching Breaking Bad, just saying that he's the best actor he's ever seen ever.
Really?
Yeah.
That could have been AJ with his nom de plume of Anthony Hopkins, which he does a lot. He wrote one. Bill Hader got the same letter on Anthony Hopkins. All right, let me hit JB Weld here, everybody. JB Weld, DIY projects. You want to get through those. You want to save money. You want to avoid paying. The repairman or having that guy with all his germs and his big boots and his butt crack coming through your house. Big or small repairs, home or garage. Ordinary household glue. Well, it's just ordinary. You need something stronger. You need something better. You need JB Weld. We're proud of JB Weld. We're proud that they're sponsors of the show. These guys are great. I know the owner. Pros and DIYers have been trusting JB Weld for over 50 years. It's proudly made in the United States of America. And like I said, I was hanging around SEMA. AJ knows SEMA because he loves cars. And I wandered into the JB Weld booth. I struck up a conversation with the owner. Next thing you know, they're advertising on this program, so God bless them. Metal, wood, plastic, and more. Don't glue it. JB Weld it. Available at Home Depot, jbweld.com, Lowe's, AutoZone, Advanced Auto Parts, O'Reilly, Walmart, Amazon, Michaels, and more. All right, so we have that clip for a second. Hey, it's Adam Carolla, and ever since Sports Illustrated called my last movie, The Hammer, the best sports comedy of 2008, people have been asking, when are you going to make another movie, Ace? Well, I haven't. It's long overdue. It's called Road Hard, and with the generosity and help of people like you, and of course an assist from Mr. Bryan Cranston, I know it's going to be a huge success.
Hey, I'm flattered that I'm even involved in a small part.
And you're flattered. I'm co-starring in a movie with Bryan Cranston. I mean, that is awesome.
Wait a minute, no.
But
I'm happy to help you here doing this, raising the money for it, but I can't be, oh God, I can't be in the movie with you.
But when I
hard.
Yeah, that's the name of the movie. But
Ride 'em hard.
No, it's not gay porn. It's a movie about a comic
sure it's
on
not
the
gay
road
porn?
and the struggles.
Did you see Argo by any chance?
Yeah.
You? Yeah. Kind of carried that movie, right?
Yeah, no, you were great.
It won Best Picture, an Oscar.
Yeah.
Out of all the pictures.
Yeah.
The best.
Right, that's why I came to you to be in Road Hard, because I was like,
right, but do you see where that would go? You know what I mean? My agents would take a shit in the middle of Wilshire Boulevard if they heard that I was going to be in a movie with you.
Is there any circumstance under which you'd work on Road Hard?
No. If you backed up a Brinks truck and it bumped into another Brinks truck that was unloading the money for me that it would take for me to do this movie.
Okay,
and the carts would bump into this mound of cocaine that was up there and women everywhere, and then still no. I would rather play the gay pimp in Deuce Bigalow, Pakistani Gigolo. If I had to give my agents a choice between doing an Adam Carolla film or doing a snuff film, they would have to discuss it.
All right, you can stop
if they
it.
were remaking Deliverance,
they would have to discuss it. I was like that. I mean, we wrote all those jokes for him, but I mean, he did go later on when he's got all his Emmys. It's kind of you can go to the outtakes or whatever, but he was great. They would have to discuss.
He delivers.
Guy's got chops, man. What can I say? So who do you guys think is the funny, maybe quietly or underappreciated?
Jason Sudeikis.
Oh,
The one he's great. The one I was thinking of when you said funnier than you think. the guy who's maybe a little too weird for some people and they just don't get it a lot, but I find him fucking hysterical, is Will Forte. Will Forte is hysterical, and I love all of his weird subversive humor.
You know who's funny again is Eddie Murphy. Funny again. That Dolomite movie was hilarious.
I was glad to hear you say Jason Sudeikis, because my book, which is called I'm Your Emotional Support Animal, was out of stock. It's going to be back now this Saturday. Is that true, Max Spada?
That's right.
So please order it on Amazon, and they'll send it out on Saturday. I read a review. Somebody wanted... the guy makes me laugh is Jason Sudeikis' books, young Woody Allen and Adam Carolla. And I thought, wow, that's a nice group to be lumped in with. All right. So do we have the Italian the Italian interviewer who's talking to Robert De Niro? This makes me laugh so goddamn hard. I'll just play you a minute.
Oh, this one's not Robert De Niro. This is Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Ragazze e ragazzi, è tempo per la rivista della televisione con mio Vini Verdeci! Buonasera, e Muremone Vini Verdeci, un santaracando. Noce, trasaravando italiano, bis reverende Shia LaBeouf!
Great to be here.
Thank you. Buonasera, Shia.
There's not going to be a problem I don't speak Italian or anything like that, right?
No problemo. No. My English is very...
Good.
Good. Okay, great. Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
Biro corantos, torre da pantore con mito e molototo e tarabaranto e Cristiano, Manalo, Maria.
Is that Italian or is that just making it up?
idea. It's just makes me laugh.
You transform.
Yes, yeah, transformer, me, right.
From woman to man?
No. I think you're confused.
From man to woman?
No, I didn't change none of that. Transformers is a movie about robots from outer space. They change into cars.
You. Penis or vagina?
Penis.
So no sex change?
No sex change.
Sex change. Balaga, non a me, non le mande!
Vincenzo, che non lo so, mi dispiace, amici.
All right. It always makes me laugh that they're eating spaghetti and smoking. I did like when they just lean into stuff, Him arguing with what's his name always makes
Fred Armisen.
Fred Armisen. The whole De Niro one was just him arguing with Fred Armisen like the entire time. I don't know.
You know who's someone else that comes to mind? It didn't before, but someone who gets a lot of, street cred for just being a great actor, but does not realize how funny he is. John Hamm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He never, it's like you saw the first, 10 minutes or whatever of Bridesmaids or see him on SNL. Like, oh, he does that too. He's not just a Don Draper. It's shocking the first time you see it.
Yeah. It's almost like they're acting.
Almost.
I know. No, it's so funny how sort of we're wired as a human being that even though we know this guy's a great actor who's turning in this great performer as this 60s ad exec or this former school teacher with cancer, brain tumor, whatever he had, the point is we still buy into it and then we assume, well, they can't do other things. That's what he does.
That's him.
Oh, when I was first talking to K-Rock about doing Loveline and hosting Loveline in the mid-'90s, the program director said to me, we know your character, like we know Mr. Burcham is funny, but we don't know you're funny. And that was like a real conversation where we were talking about this character that I created that everyone loved and thought was super funny, but we didn't know if the guy created it was funny. So people buy into it, and then you have those kind of insane conversations.
Bridesmaids. Just a little note on John Hamm, hilarious, but I made the mistake of showing that. I guess I came out, like 2008, and my kids were really little. So the first scene, if you're showing your kids Bridesmaids, skip to the second or third minute. Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah. They might be a little confused, but that's okay afterwards.
As I was showing that Bryan Cranston thing to my son, I realized, now I have to explain to him what a snuff film is.
Okay, tell us. What's a snuff film?
Forget all that stuff's in there. Do you have Max? Him just laughing and polishing his Emmys and explaining. It's in the outtakes, I think.
No, it's in the
it's in the main one.
Video.
It makes me laugh.
Oh, come on. You've got to see the absurdity in what you asked me, right?
I thought it was a long shot, and then you said, I'd love to be a part.
Oh, my God. That is funny. You got to write that into your movie.
You not being in the movie?
No, where you ask someone something so ridiculous that it's just obvious. It's funny to the audience, and then your character's like, what? It's good. It's self-deprecating. It's good. It'll work.
It hurts. It's cruel. It's painful.
It is funny. No. Have you ever felt one of these? No, I'm just asking. I don't want you to touch it.
I think maybe you should.
You can stop. There's a funny outtake where he's holding his 3 Emmys and he goes, "These are just the ones I keep in the house. The others are holding down the boat cover." And he points out to the yard. Makes me laugh. That guy's funny. But also, I wrote all those jokes, and he's so good at it that people thinks he's doing those. Like, that guy's so funny. It's like, he is, but I still did write all those. Deuce Bigelow,
that's how you got him to do that.
Pakistani gigolo, or whatever the hell it was.
So let me guess, he didn't make the movie with you.
No, he did not. But he did do that, and he does nice.
He was in a poster in the background.
I was in a poster in the background. That's right. That is very true. All right, let's take a break, and we'll come back. We'll do the news with AJ and Gina and Bald right after this.
Give me the news with Grad, news with Gina Grad, breaking viral, all those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad, trouble in the Middle East, celebrity drunk meltdowns. Need news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
Oh,
well,
Chris,
we might have to
you
change.
got the boat joke?
Yeah.
Well, let's just hear it.
Oh,
Take 4.
These are the ones I just keep in the house. The other ones are used out in the back to hold down the boat cover.
All right, we got it. Hold down the
we may have to change the lyrics of that song next year from crazy Trump tweets to crazy Kanye tweets. He's throwing his hat in the ring. Surprised everybody over the weekend when he announced he plans to run for president this year. On Saturday night, we have the tweet. He tweeted, "We must now realize the promise of America by trusting God, unifying our vision, and building our future. I am running for president of the United States. Hashtag 2020 vision." Then Elon Musk jumped in and said, "You have my full support." And while there's no doubt that he would have interest in this, this would be sort of fun for everybody, he did miss the filing deadline in most states. So I'm not sure if he's feeling okay or if this is a publicity stunt or what's going on.
I tweeted something similar to what I'm about to say, which is, wouldn't it be great if we as a collective culture just turned our backs collectively on this nonsense and just didn't give them the time in this obvious ham-handed publicity stunt? Like, this is the stupidest thing ever. And yet here we are, like, people are talking about this.
But here's the thing, Brian, with most celebrities, 99% of them, yes, you're absolutely right. But then you have your Britney Spears and your Amanda Bynes and your Kanye Wests, and you think, is everything on the up and up, or does somebody need to check in with them, mentally, every medications balance? Because we've seen some people that really truly are developing some illnesses that, they have conservatorship over them or whatever. And Kanye does stuff like this that I think warrant, those conversations sometimes.
See, I'm all for it, and I'll tell you why. Can you imagine how fascinating the debates would be to see Kanye debating Joe Biden and Donald Trump? That's TV.
So is he saying he's running as an independent, I guess? or is
I
he
mean, sure.
Green Party or something?
Well, but
You're going to find it's hard to believe. There's no further details.
And he also, he's a fan of Trump, so he doesn't want to, it'd be hard for him to take him down. I think, they have quite a friendship budding.
I think I think I take a little different approach to this than Bryan, which is I think he's nuts and he just does things. I don't know.
That's what I was saying.
I don't know how. I don't. It all ends up being publicity. But I've also been around long enough. Like the Kardashians were a joke, and now I think two of the sisters are approaching the billionaire club. Like. I can't say any idea is a bad idea or joke or nonsense anymore. There's like it goes on for too long. There's too many examples. I mean, just take his family and look at the Kardashians. Like, they should have been a flash in the pan, or they had a sex tape. Like, who cares? Now she's getting people sprung from prison and she wants to be a lawyer. Like, I just sit and watch it now. I don't say it can't happen or this is insane or anything, especially given the current president. But yes.
See if this changes your opinion. Kanye has a new single that dropped 3 days ago, and has a new album coming out later this year.
Exactly.
It does.
Why are we talking about this?
Okay.
Well, he totally succeeded.
in the
It's a
news.
publicity stunt, and he succeeded.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, look, he's got Bryan talking about it.
Yeah, joke's on us, joke's on me.
Well, I certainly hope this is a publicity stunt. Authorities in the Chinese region of Inner Mongolia are on high alert after a suspected case of bubonic plague. That's the disease that caused the Black Death pandemic. That was reported on Sunday. The case was discovered in a city northwest of Beijing. That was according to the state-run news. A hospital alerted authorities of the patient's case on Saturday. The plague, which is caused by bacteria transmitted through flea bites, infected animals, is one of the deadliest bacterial infections in human history. During the Black Death in the Middle Ages, it killed about 50 million people in Europe. Now, modern antibiotics can prevent complications and death if administered quickly. But that's the best thing they can say about our chances.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I never know, because I do know the way the news works is when things get hot, they have a little momentum to them. And if you hung around long enough, there'd be stories like pit bull attacks, and then you'd
murder
hear
hornets.
Yeah. Well, what would happen is like a pit bull would attack a 5-year-old and kill it, and then 2 nights later they'd go another pit bull attack, but it turns out this one's not a pit bull. This one is a Shih Tzu, and it didn't hurt anybody. But the news would we're on this pandemic thing out of China. We're kind of digging this. So I can't quite tell if we should really be frightened or we're just on a roll.
Here's the thing. How many people would wake up and look at the newspaper every day in December, January, November, and read these stories about coronavirus and think, whatever, it's just another one of these things. You know what I mean? Sure. That was me.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
It's everyone.
Would you like me to make your point, Adam?
Mm-hmm.
There's a new one. There's one that's a little closer to home. A case of a rare brain-destroying amoeba has been confirmed in Florida. According to CNN, the Florida Department of Health on Friday announced that there's a confirmed case of a microscopic single-celled amoeba that can infect and destroy the brain. It's usually fatal, according to the Department of Health. Since 1962, there have only been 37 reported cases of the amoeba in Florida. The amoeba is typically found in warm, freshwater like lakes, rivers, ponds, and the DOH has cautioned people who swim in those freshwater sources to be aware of the amoeba's possible presence, particularly when the water is warm.
Let me tell you this. People that do a lot of pond swimming don't heed warnings like us non-pond swimmers do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Speak for yourself.
I know the guys who hit those rope swings and those Leinenkugel commercials, they don't watch CNN all day and wring their hands. As I think we're starting to figure out with some of the guys hitting the beach on the 4th of July and stuff like that. Like, those people don't heed warnings. That's what I've learned. If you're willing to go into a pond, you're rolling the dice in life, and or lagoon, but mostly ponds. I think lagoons are like ponds with clear water. I don't know. Nothing ever good happened in a pond, you know? But if you're going in that pond, then you ain't that worried about parasites. Or amoebas, sorry.
You make a good point because when we went to Fallbrook, this little cabin in Fallbrook near Temecula last weekend, and on the way back is Lake Elsinore. I don't know anything about Lake Elsinore. I just a giant body of water. I said, we got to go to Lake Elsinore. It's right there. So we pulled off and I put my feet in the water and I kind of walked in and there's, a couple people there and I posted a picture like, hey, in Lake Elsinore. And usually I get like, ooh, looking good or whatever. Every comment was, what are you doing? Get the fuck out of there.
It's polluted. It's horrible.
I didn't know it had standing water, essentially. It's just one big standing pond that people, cruise around on and stuff. So the locals will tell you.
Yeah, water's a lot like people. Like if it doesn't keep moving, it gets evil. You know what I mean? Like
that's right.
Activated.
Yeah, like it just sits there and then it gets mosquito larvae in it. And the next thing you know, it gets scum and moss. And next thing you know, there's a creature climbing out of it from the Black Lagoon.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
This amoeba, though. Look out for the amoeba. Don't worry about the sharks, the snakes, the little worms that swim
water
where they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people.
The
That's right.
people.
The
Yeah,
human
the
beings.
people. When you go to the pond for a dip, it's the people you got to worry about. Pond people. Oh, yeah.
Someone from Kansas, I can attest to what you just said.
Yeah, I would always say, like, the guys, when I was, I used to kind of think about it when I worked construction, because the guys that wanted to go to the beach, like if you said, what are you doing for the weekend? They'd go, we're going to the beach. Those guys were fine. The guys who went to the river, those are the guys you had to steer clear of. Those were the scary guys that go to the river guys.
I go to the river.
You go to the river.
Where I live,
That's
in
my
my
point.
country, the river's the place to be.
Uh-oh, now many of the people who are going to read your next book and be outraged can start thinking about where the river is.
I'm going to break into song right now, okay? It goes down to the river.
Yeah. Do you go down to the river?
I do.
Is it freezing cold?
Colfax, California. It looks like, it's so beautiful, it looks like a movie set. You can't even believe it. Crystal clear water, and you go diving in, jumping in, and...
Is it freezing cold? Or
Damn right, yes.
It's brutal, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, there's a place, I went for a hike with, I think I went with Jimmy and Danny Two Sheets and the wives a million years ago. We went to a wedding in Yosemite. Yosemite's amazing.
It is.
And you took a hike, and we hiked all along, and there's a path, and then at some point you get to the end, and you can jump off into this sort of body of water, but it's all melted glacial, whatever, snow runoff stuff, and it's fucking freezing, but that's kind of the challenge. I don't know where that is. There's a trail around Yosemite, and then there's some huge body of water. I'm sure it'd be illegal to walk on the trail now or jump into the water or anything. You'd be arrested, but it's freezing snow runoff water, but you take the plunge, and it's good for what ails you. Sorry. Go ahead, Gina Grad.
Well, a tell-all book by President Trump's niece, Mary, who's a licensed clinical psychologist.
All right, Gina, we were talking about Trump niece book.
Yeah, so that'll be out sooner than expected. And the one interesting thing I wanted to get in was that the family argued that Mary is bound by a non-disclosure agreement. She signed one following the legal battle over the will of her grandfather, Fred Trump Sr., but the appellate judge ruled that the NDA does not apply to Simon & Schuster, which has not agreed to surrender or relinquish any of its First Amendment rights. So the book is coming out. So it might have applied to Mary, but it doesn't apply to her book publishing company.
What a weird loophole.
Loophole, yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing that, well, I don't know who the judge is, but it doesn't sound like he's a fan.
No.
I think that's probably how it
Might
works.
not be.
Yeah.
What is it we're going to find in that book?
Because it's kind of like saying, look, you have a non-disclosure, but your bullhorn doesn't. So you can go ahead and say whatever you want into that bullhorn. And it's kind of like, yeah, I guess, but that's kind of what we're saying. But anyway,
here's the thing.
What could it say?
What could possibly be said in that book that's going to surprise people at this point?
Well, yeah, I mean, we just had the John Bolton book out, and it's like, okay, we get it.
The question is, would anybody be surprised? Well, look, whether it's, I don't know, Weinstein, Trump, Clinton, both Clintons, Bill Cosby, like, is anyone surprised at anything? Is there anything that would be there where you'd go like,
Just
oh,
you can even
shit,
just try
come
to
on.
imagine a scenario in there. Like, what? Just make it up in your head. Well, that would be, and I can't think of anything. Nothing is going to surprise me. About this.
I'm sure there'll be some salacious stuff.
Of course.
When the White House insiders write their stuff, it's White House shit, and this is family shit. But you're right. Like, what would shock you? What would truly shock you at this point?
Well, I think I'm only going off of like two sentences that they released from the book, but some of it is about like, the possible sort of tyrannical or whatever quality of his father and how, that may have scarred Donald. And, like you said, like the family, like the psychology stuff.
When the when the Steele dossier first hit all those years ago now, the original stuff was like he'd go to Moscow and get hookers to pee on him. And we're like, yeah, okay. Well,
yeah, okay, that makes sense. It's not great.
It was a weekend, wasn't it? I mean, we're not talking about a Tuesday. I mean,
Hey, who doesn't remember the video footage of Bill Clinton testifying when they asked him the cigar question? You don't remember that?
No,
What is it?
What is that one?
The cigar question where they're saying blah blah blah. Am I making this up? That's what I remember. Just the look on his face when he's on camera being asked the questions about what he did in the White House.
Well, maybe we'll try to find it.
I remember the what is,
Yeah.
trying to weasel out of,
I remember the what.
questions.
I remember the what is, and then when I kind of realized that everyone was just whoever they were. There was an interview he was doing with some news anchor, and he just like looked at him, and he just went, "I did not have sexual relations with that."
Did he
woman."
ever
And I
say
was like,
that under oath?
Yeah.
No, I don't know
Did
if he
he?
said it
No,
under
it was
oath, but.
It was an interview.
That's when I
style.
kind of just realized anyone will say anything at any time, like, especially if you're asking them about getting blown by an intern. You know what I mean?
In the White House.
People will lie. Yes. AJ, let's talk about that river.
Right on.
I
I can tell you river stories all day long. And that would be the scariest stories ever spoken on your program.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
No, I'm just kidding.
I like the idea. I think for a lot of people, especially in LA, this notion of moving somewhere a little more rural is now, maybe 9 months ago it didn't seem like a great idea, or even 5 months ago, but now it seems like a capital idea. You think you were ahead of the curve. Why did you do that?
Well, it was my plan. The honest answer is I wanted to go skiing. I'm moving into my next career, which is ski bumming. So I wanted to begin that process. So I live near Squaw Valley. That's it. That's the answer.
What is your schedule like on a daily basis when you're working on a book?
It's insane. Like I in order to do what I do for a living, you have to be a little psycho, because I go into my office at 7 o'clock in the morning. I come out at 6. I don't talk to another human being all day.
Really?
Yeah.
Because so much of it is research based.
Yeah, research, reading, filing, collating, like putting the different things in different folders for 10 straight hours.
How does your publishing work? Do you just finish one book and roll into the next deal, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, I mean, essentially I have to, because I have to continue to get paid. But, I have to earn a living like you. So at the end, when I'm finished with a book, there's always the next one that's going to, have the proposal done, and et cetera, et cetera.
Gina and Bald have been lost, and we're having some technical difficulties. So AJ and I will just chat in the remainder of the show.
That's why I came down here to be with you in person, for that reason.
To get rid of because you knew we could have lost you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you came in. I'm always happy when people are in person. It's easier. Although, back to your favorite Sean Penn, the chances of that guy driving from Malibu to Glendale are probably slim to none. So him coming in via Zoom was probably a good way to get him.
I haven't heard that show yet. What did you ask him about?
Talked about Bad Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about At Close Range, another good with Christopher Walken.
Who was it?
Talked about his dad flying in a B-24.
He got some incredible interview recently with a political figure internationally. I can't remember who it was.
Hugo Chavez.
Wow.
Or no, El Chapo?
Yeah.
Yeah, El Chapo.
How did he do that?
Hey, Sean Penn. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how that worked. Here's something. Everyone heard it, so I don't want to recap too much of it. But big woodworker, big home improvement woodworker guy.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and he said something that I thought was interesting, which has always been kind of my point, which is during the course of this hour, 5-minute interview, he must have smoked 4 cigarettes.
Is that right?
But he said, when I go in the garage and I get in on a wood project, I'll go 5 hours without smoking.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's why you got to get to the garage. So whatever your smoking is, maybe it's hand wringing or watching too much CNN or whatever it is. What is your vice? What is that thing you do too much of when you have too much time? That's the reason you need to get to the garage and get busy.
For me, it's martinis.
Yeah, well, that's easy too. I mean, that's another reason why.
What's yours? What's your vice?
My vices are bad TV shows, like The Love Boat or something like that. But in a weird way, I feel like I have a job where like I'm a traveling salesman and I can eat at Jack in the Box and write it off. Like everything to me is just a part of a conversation that I kind of store, and I kind of go, I'm going to study The Love Boat. Like, see how society was in 1979 and just what they did. Like The Love Boat had a ship's doctor who was openly sexually aggressive to the passengers, and they highlighted it. Think about that. Think about that in today's world. You know what I mean? Like, he's the doctor for the ship, and he stands there while like chicks are checking in, coming on the boat, like, oh, I'll see you later, Mrs. Swanson.
Well, think of all the examples. I mean, there's legions of examples of things that seem like a great idea then. What's the Clint Eastwood movie where he rides in on a horse before he says a single word, he rapes a woman, and he's the hero of the movie? Do you remember that one? High Plains Drifter.
High Plains Drifter, yeah. I like a martini as well, and I'll also, not every night, but on occasion, smoke a cigarette at the end of the day, which is, no one else can do that. Evidently not. Sean Penn smoked as many cigarettes in a 1-hour interview as I might do in a week or something, but I'm the only person who at midnight can just go smoke a cigarette.
What's the brand?
American Spirit, I think. Yes. And martini as well. But the key to all this shit, as I try to explain to people all the time who are like giving up everything or doing a cleanse or whatever that thing is just take it easy with everything, and then you can kind of do whatever you want.
Sometimes that's not so easy.
No. It's a wiring thing.
It is a wiring thing.
And some people have a gene, and that gene says, I can't just go to Las Vegas and play $10 hands of blackjack. I have to up it, and I have to stay all night. And if that's your gene, then you shouldn't be going to Vegas. That's kind of the problem.
But what's more fun than going to Vegas? If that's your gene where you feel like I can't go to Vegas, but going to Vegas is all I want to do. That makes my life pleasurable.
Yeah.
It brings the only joy. It's just an example.
No, I agree, but that's try to wire yourself for balance and moderation if you can. I mean, I've always said, like, look, I'm not gonna pour myself a highball at noon because I like drinking. And if I started doing that, then I'd have to quit drinking.
Well, what do you think about this? Say you're going on stage, you're doing comedy, and you've learned from experience that 3 beers before you go on makes you funnier and more successful. Mm-hmm. Are you going to do it? And you got 7 nights in a row, and then so you need 3 drinks before you go on, and you know it's going to make you funnier.
I think, first off, it's probably something you do for some period of time. And then at some point you start thinking, how can I be as funny on 2 beers? You know what I mean? And you try to work your way into that space.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
That's kind of, I would never say don't do it or no one's going to do it or whatever. No, that's how people are. Like, if it works, it works. They do it, they do it. But have an eye toward 2 beers and then 1 beer kind of thing before you go on stage as you do it. Now, the other thing is there's a direction where you go, I'm funny on 3 beers, I'll be hysterical on 4 beers.
Right.
Right. And that's what happened to Artie Lang or whomever. Right. So that's always that kind of dance.
I worked on an amazing profile of Artie Lang. I was the editor. It was a great writer named Mike Guy. And it was in Playboy magazine.
What year?
2007, something like that. And the first scene is already coming off stage, and the first thing he says is, how am I going to come down from this? Because he just slayed the crowd. The crowd's going nuts. He's super high on it, and he's like, how am I going to come down from this?
Yeah, see, that's another wiring thing, which is I never feel anything after doing a great night of stand-up. When I walk off stage, I'm right back to whatever my resting pulse is, and I'm like, when are we eating, or when are we going back to the hotel? Like that is my default setting. So I think if you're getting a high off it, then it makes sense that you need to synthesize that high with something else at some other time. But if you're not getting a high off it, then what do you need to replace?
That's right. I mean, that's an amazing talent that you have. You can walk off the stage and be like, all right, ham sandwich, ham on rye, lettuce, tomato.
Yeah. And then Mike goes, who are you talking to? No, I don't know. I wouldn't look at it as a talent, and that's probably not what you meant anyways, like a talent.
No, I mean it. I
don't know. I wouldn't think of it as a talent. Do you think of it as a talent?
Yeah, let me put it to you this way. When I finish a book, or even a single day where I feel like, okay, I kicked ass today. I wrote something really good. I'm really happy with it. I feel like I'm like wired for 3 martinis. And I have to like talk myself through the night, be like, okay, you're going to have 1 tonight. My wife will sit with me and she gets it.
Right.
She helps.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't have that sort of, I know the difference between a good show, a bad show, and a great show, and I like the great shows better than the good shows, no doubt about it. But as soon as we're done, it's time to turn the page and immediately start thinking about whatever's next.
Right.
Don't really have that. Let's sit and relish this.
Yeah.
Let's just get going and let's whatever. Let's go to the hotel, or we got to get up early, or let's get some food, or let's go sign books out in the lobby, or whatever that thing is. It's just whatever's next.
Makes me think of what Sean Penn, like how many cigarettes did Sean Penn smoke when he walked out of that room with El Chapo? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of refreshing to see a guy just smoking in his house too. Like, when's the last time you saw someone just sitting in their living room just smoking like they would do when I was a kid? You just walk in. I'd walk into my buddy Steve. He used his house. Both his parents just be sitting in their small apartment, just smoking, talking to you the whole time. Or sending one of the kids down to buy him a pack of cigarettes.
Right.
That was always a good one too. All right, let me hit Geico here right now. Geico is offering an extra 15% credit on car, motorcycle, and RV policies. That's 15% on top of the money you're already saving by going with Geico. So you save if you go with Geico, and you save an additional 15% if you really go with Geico. Never been a better time to switch to Geico. Save that extra 15% when you switch by October 7th. Visit geico.com to learn more. That's geico.com. AJ Baime, the book, Dewey Defeats Truman. Excelsior, my friend. Another resounding achievement and success for you. We always root for AJ because he writes such great books.
I like that.
Consider him a friend of the show. So you can go to Amazon and get that today. And I might as well get my book, which is coming back on this Saturday. So thank you in advance for that. AJ, we look forward to whatever you have in store and bringing you in whenever you complete it.
Really appreciate it. Thank you, Adam.
God knows whatever other projects we got down the pipeline for us. Go to AdamCarolla.com for all the live shows. Dallas, San Antonio, Tempe, Arizona. Coming up, and go to Chassis, CHASSY, and look at some of our cool racing docs there. And until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Gina Grad, Bryan, and AJ Baime saying mahalo.